Hey, PHS, welcome back to Go Knuckle Talk with Flo. Of course, I'm Flo and my lovely host, Lisa Nolan Hafner. Hello. So,
Michael.
hi. So, who's on our show today?
Oh, we have a really special show tonight. It's titled 81, uh, the class of 81 band, or literally having all these senior moments today as I texted Susanne. Anyway, so we have Susanne Rogers. I'm introducing her with her maiden name, Murry Burkhart, and Kevin Box. So welcome, everyone. We're so glad that you joined us tonight.
Hey, guys.
Doing good.
Thanks for having us.
Yes. So just
So,
really quickly, where does everyone live?
I live in Lubbock, Texas.
Okay. Murry?
I live in Missouri City, Texas, which is southwest Houston.
Okay. Kevin?
I live in Rockwall, Texas, which is just east of Dallas.
Okay. Well, you're my neighbor. I live in East Dallas.
Oh, hey, neighbor.
Yeah, I live on the Reading. And Michael's outside of Houston.
yeah, I'm in the northwest side in Hempstead. So, 6 miles north. So, but love it out here, little country community. But well, anyway, this show's about you guys, not about Lisa and I. Let's get to it. You
Flo,
know, can
can I say something?
absolutely,
Okay.
but don't interrupt me again.
Okay.
The
you
show
got it.
the show's Go Knuckle Talk with Flo, not with Kevin. Okay.
Okay. I've got this. I got this thing. Been watching the podcasts, and it's just something that's really bothered me is, high school was 40 years ago. Okay.
Uh-oh.
And some people just really, just can't get over high school. And I mean, it's just, I don't know, it's just one of those things that
Oh, Lordy.
uh, it's just you
Set
get
back down, Kevin.
sometimes you just gotta let it go. I mean, that was so long ago. You just gotta let it go.
Anger Red Nuff Said, brother. Anger Red Nuff Said.
Cheers.
Okay.
I like that.
I gotta excuse myself because the fire department's here with the jaws of life to get me out of this. So just hold on.
Well, Susanne and Murry, how long have you guys known each other? How did you guys meet? And I mean, how did you, was it high school or is it prior to that?
Go ahead, Murray, start us.
Yeah, the best I recall is we met in high school because I went to Edgemere. I don't think Suzanne went to Edgemere.
No.
So we probably crossed paths probably starting in Coronado and Estacada, probably 7th and 8th grade, and band is probably when we first
Yeah.
met.
And I don't remember. Say again, Lisa.
Oh, I was going to just say, well, so when did y'all become friends? Was that in band?
I think that was probably our freshman year in band. Those fish got to stick together because those seniors start just raising havoc right away. So I think all the fish kind of started, teaming up together. But my best recollection is freshman year when everybody kind of started getting to know everybody. And really, I would say probably junior year, we became really better friends. And then
Right.
senior year, of course,
Right. Right.
for the goat man and all of that clearly took us to a different relationship.
Right. Yeah, that's what I recall too, Suzanne.
Mm-hmm.
But you guys started when all the schools got segregated, majority of them, you guys started together in 7th grade, correct? Because we
Correct.
started
Yes.
at 5th. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
Kevin. So I asked them, how long have they known each other, and basically when did they meet, and how did they meet?
Well, with Suzanne, like she said, it was band, probably high school, sometime in high school. Uh, Murray, it was I think it was Little Dribblers.
Yeah.
That's the first time I met. And sorry, Murray, I got to shout out. Uh, Murray was very unique. He had this free throw that got everybody's attention because we called it the granny shot.
Mm-hmm.
It was just he would, kind of squat down with ball in hand and then toss it up. But let me tell you, that kid had probably a 70% accuracy rating. Nobody else could touch him when it came to free throw. But yeah, it was I think it had to been probably little dribblers. I don't know, what team were you on? Do you remember, Murray?
No, I remember colors, but I don't remember names.
Yeah.
We had green jerseys.
I don't
Well-
even remember ours.
Well, Murray, did any of the coaches try to change you to the style there, or they just because you're making them 7 out of 10 shots, they just left you alone?
Yeah, not on free throws. They did on the on the perimeter, but they let me do my thing on free throws.
Well, that's cool.
Yeah,
So,
that's a cool story.
Go ahead, Miss Lisa.
So Kevin, did you go to Edgemere too?
No, I was up on the north end. I was at Thunderbird, which I understand is not even there anymore. They built a new school up there.
Yeah, well, yeah, they built a nice school up there. Yeah, it's really nice. Yeah, I went to Lakeside.
Yeah, I don't. Well, is that even still standing? I know Edgemere's gone, Thunderbird's gone.
Lakeside, they tore Lakeside.
Yeah.
Torn down. Yeah, it's sad.
College Hill.
Why did they? Why all the new schools?
Well, College Hill, they tore down too.
Oh, I didn't know that. So really all the original elementary schools are gone.
Right,
Wow.
right.
Wow.
Well, I think Howland's still there. My mom still lives in Plainview, so we go there from time to time. But I think that the buildings were so old and they were just needing more repair than what was going to be monetarily feasible, and so it was just easier to build a new school than it was to try to maintain and take care of our precious school. So that's what they did. So
Yeah.
So when did you all start band? In 6th grade or 7th grade?
Six.
What instrument did you start with? What instrument?
Kevin, were you percussion?
Drums all the way. That's the only thing I could play. It's one note. That's it. It's not up and down scales and everything. It's one note. So yeah, it was easy.
Did you try that you didn't try any other instruments? That was it.
Well, not officially.
Okay.
I would take a friend of mine, y'all know him, James Castle. He played trumpet, and I tried to play on his trumpet some, but yeah, I guess I don't have the lips for it or something. I don't know.
I know. Well, Murray, he was a saxophone because I was a saxophone as well.
Yeah.
So I guess you started a saxophone and just
Yeah,
stayed with it.
sixth grade. Yeah, I just thought it was a unique instrument. That's the only reason I tried it.
Can you
Stuck with it?
Can you still play it?
No, I still have mine, but I don't play
Oh,
it.
really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. What about you, Susanne? You're a flutist, I guess.
Oh, clarinet.
Oh, wow.
There's nothing like the sound of a clarinet for a beginner. That is just, music to everyone's ears. So I remember Mr. Giddens was our 6th grade teacher. And, he starts, trying to test everybody out on what they can play. And I'll just be quite honest, I wasn't in band to play an instrument. I was in band to twirl. That was what my goal was from 2nd grade on. And so I unfortunately had to play an instrument. And so that became a clarinet. Then when I was in high school, it was very obvious to O.T. Ryan that Susanne Rogers could care less about an instrument. So since I was back there on the back row by the drum lines all the time, he moved me to a bass clarinet, which I don't know if you remember a bass clarinet, but it's a very large instrument. And then he moved me to the contrabass clarinet. And it is so large that it sticks up above your head. And I had to sit on 3 textbooks just to be tall enough to reach the reed to blow into the contrabass clarinet. So when you look across the band, you have everybody's head, and then you have me right up here. And then there's all the drummers standing. So yeah, that was it.
Where did you sit? Like 2nd, 3rd row, right?
I was in the very back, right in front of the drum line. So I could
Wow.
stories about the drum line.
Please tell us stories about the drum line.
If I can remember, I remember most of the time they were notorious. They weren't paying attention to what was really going on. My son was also a drummer, but they aren't paying attention to what's going on until they're called out. And I think I probably was as equally distracted as they were back in that back row as Leanne Dunlap and I can't remember, Lori Dalton, some of those people, Roxanne Emmons, were back there with us trying to keep us all on track, and just don't look at the drummers. Don't look at the drummers or the tubas.
Well, at least you didn't sit in front of the trumpets or the what is it, slide trombones, because they're always spitting their
That's
spit out. So, but speaking of OT guys, what tell me about how'd you guys feel about Mr. OT? Was he a huge influence in y'all's life, Murray?
Yeah, I really respected OT. I mean, I didn't have any really interactions with him other than just, the coaching he gave everybody. But I really respected him, and the things that cracked me up about him is he would get so pissed off that people sometimes, the veins in his neck and his face, he would get so red like he was going to have a heart attack. And it's like, just calm down, dude, calm down.
Right.
But he was very smart. I think he's the one that developed the floating diamonds that, a lot of bands today still float up and down the fill. And
really? Okay.
he was well respected in the industry. So, I thought a lot of him.
Do you guys remember, I think it was our senior year, when someone took OT's directing baton and hit it? Because, he always kept it right there on the tray, on the music. Was it you?
It
No.
wasn't me. I'm not taking blame, but
there was one stuck up on the ceiling.
in the ceiling.
Oh Lord.
But there was
Okay,
another-
Murray can he can attest to this. Sometimes we got rather bored in stage band.
Right.
And I'm not going to call names out, but there was a few guys that thought it was really funny to take all the batons and stick them in that 30-40 foot ceiling.
Yep.
And he would get mad.
And there was one day he couldn't find his baton, and somebody had hidden it, and it was like up on the chalkboard that was behind us, it was like up on the top rail of that. And there was I want to think it was an underclassman's like, OT, I think it's up there on the chalkboard. And he's like, what? And he's like looking around for it. And I never knew who hid that, but it really killed about 10 minutes of our band time. So we like that.
You gotta let us know who did it.
I don't know who did it. I don't
recall.
Kevin, what kind of a guilty look on your face?
It was Herky.
I would say it's the drummer.
Oh, Herky
the ghost.
Yeah, I was gonna say the guy that. Anyway, that's an urban legend.
Oh yeah. I bet there's a lot of kids that don't know that.
No. Never saw the guy. Thank God I didn't. But what about you, Kevin? How'd you feel about OT?
Exactly what Murray said. He, respect. I mean, and coming from an era that it was all military marching, military style. And I think that's kind of why he kept a lot of that. He always kept it in. I mean, my gosh, how many years did Plainview High play Grandioso and, marching up and down the field and everything, but we were tight. I mean, I don't think A&M could march it any better than we did. But, and then in that era, crossing over to drum and bugle corps, and, I mean, he sweepstakes. I mean, it was OT. I think you can't say, it's just like when you talk about Sherwood and the love and everything that he did for Plainview and everything. When you talk about OT, it is respect.
I agree with that.
Do you as band? I was not in band, but as band members, and this includes you too, Michael. Do y'all feel that OT was kind of a visionary in his time? Like he was kind of ahead of his time? Like in a league all his own and compared to other schools that we played?
That's a tough one.
I'm sorry. But I think to a certain extent he was, but I think when we got to state our senior year, we realized that those schools down in the Dallas area and all that, they were definitely headed a different direction than we were. And we ended up in 5th that year, but we saw some marching like none other. That's kind of when we first started seeing the props and the and all the, you know, theatrics of marching, I think.
Yeah, because I mean, being in high school with you guys, I saw it evolve to where when we were seniors that it had changed and it was a little more dramatic, and you know, I'm trying to find the words because I don't have the band background, but you know, it was more modern and more dramatic, and maybe he was influenced by what you guys saw in Dallas and other larger schools, you know, because I know it was it was a little bit different, don't you think, Michael, by the time you were a senior?
Man, I didn't think I was gonna be asked questions, so I don't know. I don't remember. You know, I don't know. I just know that yeah, I'm not gonna lie, Lisa. I do not remember. I don't.
I'm just calling
I just know.
the
Yeah.
Jeannie Mansion and how there were some new formations. Remember Jeannie Mansion talked about that when they were on their show?
Yep.
So I mean, he was doing some fancier things, I think, in those last, at least when we were seniors.
The step
No, I
over
think-
on the what was it, the
Auxiliary.
spoilers, the flags, and the rifles. I mean, again, that was something that nobody was doing. The drum and bugle corps. That was probably it. And those, you know, the thing about those drum and bugle corps, typically they're smaller. I don't know how many people, but you look at the size of Plainview High, our band, we were huge. Now we only had one school. Yeah, I get that, but you know, Amarillo 3-4 high schools, Lubbock 3-4 high schools. You got smaller bands, but you know, we could go from one end of the stadium to the other end, and when you get that many people stepping over, somebody's going to get hurt.
True.
Yeah.
Suzanne, you got stepped over, Suzanne. Do you remember who was stepping over you?
My best recollection is it was the trombones that were stepping over me, and for some reason I remember Burleson, Kent Burleson, is that his name? I've just gone like Kent Burleson,
Right.
and Randy Watson. They were two, and I remember because you know my husband played the trombone as well. He's a year older, but I just remember that they during practice they would always drop their slide down like they were going to let their slide hit me. And I mean, if you were 1 second off, you were going to get stepped on. And I remember that I believe it was Jay. I'm not positive, but I think it was Jay that kind of did a little kick in my head. And I think Jeannie and Fanchon talked about this. I used to wear the rollers in my hair so that my hair wouldn't be messed up.
Oh yeah.
And he kicked my head, and that roller like went into my forehead, and you know I was bleeding. But you know you didn't stop anything for that. But I just remember he felt terrible. He was just it's like, well, it's partly my fault, but I learned how to get down real fast that day.
I bet so. Oh my gosh. Do y'all have any other stories about OT? They can be funny or not so funny that you recall, Murray?
I don't recall any with OT. I had
about-
more stories with stories with Mr. Burks and stage band, and I got my little butt got lit up with a paddle by him a couple of times. And
Well, tell us about that story.
we were throwing paper clips in the band hall and shooting rubber bands, and you know, got caught. I don't know who all was involved in that, but I got bent over. So
You're probably the last person, so
yeah, Burks had a pretty good swing too. So
yeah, I remember him. JW King, you guys remember him?
Yes.
yes.
He did the freshman, didn't he?
Yes.
So
I remember.
he was
He did-
quiet though. He was very quiet.
Yeah. But he did the freshman band, and then he also helped with sectionals, especially for the big sections like the clarinets and the flutes. And yeah, French horn was his specialty, but he would like take half the sectionals during sectional rehearsal and work with part of them. But yeah, he was very, very good at the French horn.
Well, I was telling Kevin, I believe in my opinion, y'all senior year when we went to state, I think what helped us to go to state that year was our freshman year when you guys were juniors, OT allowed all the freshmen to march. Y'all's junior
Right.
year, and then your senior year, our sophomore year, he didn't allow the freshmen. So everybody was experienced, especially us being year experience, rather than having a new core of kids to try to teach to march. I think we were that. I think that was one main reason we went to state because we were all experienced. Do you guys agree?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah,
So,
I agree with that. Yeah.
But
I mean, personally, my thought is, and for years, and this kind of where it goes back to Sherwood, um, and the fact that we had, what was it, 40 some odd years of straight sweepstakes and number one. I mean, we had a reputation that we were going to be good, and I think everybody, in the band, I know everybody kind of pushed each other, and wanted to make sure that everybody was doing their job and on where they're supposed to be and what they're supposed to do. I think we had the heart. If anything, we had good players.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, do y'all feel like you goofed off during band practice, but when push came to shove,
No.
you really gave it your all? There was a lot of pride.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah. When
Absolutely.
every show that we did, I mean, and you go back and look at some of the songs, some of the tapes, some of the stuff that we were playing musically. Of course, it was like at State or the that time, the song that we were playing, it started off very low key, and as the song built and built and built, and then you got to this just grandiose where you're just blasting the stands. And I remember OT saying he wanted everybody giving everything they had. Same way was when we would during the football season marching off the field playing the fight song. The rest of the show was always there. I mean, we did our jobs, and the musically it was great. But man, when it came to that fight song, you could hear it miles away.
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
Well, I'm sorry. I just think OT, he demanded your best.
Yeah.
He didn't take anything for no second best for anything. I remember one day, it was a cold football game, and one of the twirlers forgot her cape because we used to wear a red cape over our uniforms because they were so skimpy, and we were freezing our booties off. And one of them forgot their cape, and he's like, "If you don't all have them, none of you are wearing them." And we were all so mad at that line.
oh,
Won't name him, but we were all furious. But we all remembered him from that day on. But I think one of the things that brought pride to our class was, I will never forget the first time Sherwood showed up when we were doing the night practice for UIL, and Sherwood and the football team showed up to have a pep rally for us. It was huge because we thought we cheered these guys on every Friday night at football, and they came to cheer us on before UIL. It was huge. It just really, for me especially, it boosted us to think, this is really cool that they would support us like that. So I think that was a great thing that Sherwood did.
so Coach Kirk didn't do that prior year?
Oh no.
No. Wow.
No,
Yeah.
he didn't know the band
I
was
don't
there.
recall.
Guys,
I do.
how were you impacted by that gesture?
Do what?
How were you impacted by that gesture by the football team?
When they came out, I remember Brent Hackett and I, we always were side by side. We were buddies. And I remember we just kind of like, what's happening? I mean, what's going on? You never heard of anybody doing that, and I mean, I think the rest of that night, if we were goofing off before that, after they left, after that little pep rally, I mean, I'd never seen anybody more serious. Everybody was serious.
So it motivated you. It
Oh
fired you
yeah.
up.
Oh yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
What about you, Murray? How did that affect you?
No, I just thought it was very cool that a coach would bring his team out on a, I don't know if it was a cold night or what it was, but we were out working hard on a night after they had practiced football and could have been home, doing homework, spending time with their family, and there they were cheering us on. So it was definitely a nice touch.
Yep.
That's cool. Yeah, Jenny mentioned that. I don't recall, but I believe y'all. I believe they were there.
Yep.
Oh, it was awesome. It was awesome. Matter of fact, I want to touch on, did Murry, Suzanne, did y'all watch the show, the podcast with Royce Coleman and Jay Miller and Scott Sherwood?
Yes.
No, haven't seen it.
Oh, dude, you got to watch it. They El Paso, and this was 78, that team, glory team, and they talked about El Paso, and they said something. You remember Johnny Turpin was in our band, and the week after El Paso, because of the events, he had OT's allowed. I don't know whose idea it was, but Johnny had stood up and had said how they heard the band, while they were doing their preps. They were, in the field house. They were resting, focusing on the game, and they heard the band. Okay, that's about as far as he went. On this podcast with Royce and all those guys, they were saying how the band, when they started hearing the band, was outside playing the fight song, and they got so wound up that they were about to tear the inside of the field house down. Well, I remember OT, when we're filing in from the parking lot, he lined everybody up next to this building. We didn't know why. And he said, he started saying, line up and we're going to play the fight song. And I think we played it like maybe 2 or 3 times. And he said, the guys are on the other side. He wants them to hear it. And that was the first time in 40 some odd years that, other than Turpin, that's how much it meant to those guys. And what they do, they beat El Paso Andress just horrifically.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, and they mentioned, I heard you guys yell "Angry Red" or chant "Angry Red, Angry Red, Angry Red." Nuff said, so they heard that as well. So absolutely got him going.
That was
And
awesome.
yeah, it was. So speaking about that team, they also mentioned, and Kevin, we talked about a little bit about the Amarillo High game. Once you
The Mud Bowl.
so once you guys talk about that game.
Suzanne, you
Kevin?
remember it?
Oh, I remember we were, ankle deep in mud. And I don't know if you remember what twirlers wore, but we wore these boots with the heel about like this on it. And we were a muddy mess when that thing was over. It was a mess. Yeah.
Murray, do you?
I don't recall that. For some reason, it's not coming to me. What I recall is that El Paso game in the Sun Bowl, and it was windy as you know what that day. I mean, it was hard to march out there because the wind was blowing and the flags were having a hard time keeping their flags. And I just remember it being a really nasty day, but it was a good win.
At the Sun Bowl, the twirlers were at pregame. We were out behind the stadium trying to rearrange our routine because we decided we were not going to throw the batons because they would not end up in anyone's hands. So we kind of like tried to revamp the whole routine, and I guess we pulled it off okay, but I just remember that kind of tending to be a fiasco. So
I really would love to see the videos or the tapes of that game, because I mean it was interesting to say the least.
And I remember that, like, the twirlers are right there on the sideline and their little metal yard markers were blowing into us, and we were like trying to dodge the yard markers that were blowing. It was really bad. It was,
Remember, as the tuba players just trying to hang on for dear life, and the bass drums were, oh yeah, that was interesting.
I guess you guys had to really strap your hats on as well, right? Because I
Yeah.
think we wore hats, didn't we?
And I
Yeah, I
think
think
Oh yeah.
I think that game they didn't wear the plumes. You remember they had the feathers that
Yeah.
fit
Mhm.
hats? And I think that game they didn't put the plumes in because they were blowing. They started to. The band parents would always meet and line up and start putting the plumes in and 5 into it. They're like, this isn't going to work. And I think that is one of the games they didn't put them in.
So, Murray, how did I'm going to say you guys, but I'll start with you, Murray. How did it feel that 78 year when the team had only one loss in the regular season? Now they're going to playoffs. I mean, how was the atmosphere? How was the school? You guys, in general.
well, yeah. I mean, I love athletics, even though I was in band. So for me, I was loving it. We were getting to make a lot of road trips, which were always fun when you were in the band and you were going and seeing great football. And every week we were getting a win, which is like, all right, we got one more game next week, and so it kept everybody motivated. And so I thought it was outstanding. It was a downer when we lost to Permian, and but yeah, it was a great season. One of the highlights of my high school. Just it was a great fun year.
Kevin?
Yeah, I mean he's right. It was what I noticed was a whole different tone or mood within the school. I mean, it seemed like yeah, we always bicker and fight and carry on between each other, but boy, when you talk about an outsider, it's like it wasn't just the whole school, the whole town pulled together, and it just seemed to be a whole different feel. It was more team, and really it didn't even matter if it was football, basketball, baseball. I mean, debate team. It didn't matter. It was you were getting supported by everybody.
Cool.
Exactly.
Suzanne?
Well, I agree. And, even the pep rallies, I love the pep rallies. You could really tell that the student body was getting involved in it and getting excited. You put that band in that gymnasium and start playing, and, it's going to get everybody fired up. And I think like the guys said, it just was a whole team effort across the school. The teachers were into it. And, the teachers never, kudos to the teachers for always letting the band and the cheerleaders and the twirlers and everybody else leave early. And Lisa can attest to that. You're in the pep rally, it's time to get out and get gone. And they were totally cool with it. So I just think that was just a sign that they were all on the same page.
Well,
Yeah.
I
A lot of
was
teams-
gonna go. I'm sorry, Lee. I was gonna ask. Were you guys all three y'all born in Plainview, or did your parents go to high school there?
Mine did. I was born and raised in Plainview. And
So, how was your parents' perspective on that year? I mean, seeing losing season after losing season. I mean, I believe this is the first time they ever went to the playoffs. How did your parents react or accept it?
Well, and my parents weren't huge sports, advocates, but they were supportive of anything that we were doing. And my parents were great band parents. They loved the band, and my mom was involved in all the fundraising stuff, and that's the main reason OT loved me is because my mama. So that worked out good for me. But I think that they could see that the whole town was pulling for the band contest and pulling for the football team and the basketball team and track or whatever it was. I think that's when it really became apparent that the town was supporting. Everybody starts putting up the angry red flags, and that's when you really started seeing all of that Kevin paraphernalia across the town. So, yeah.
Well, this is a good segue into a question because Murray was talking about how fun it was to go on these road trips. So do y'all have any funny stories about these road trips that you are willing to share on the show?
I mean, like,
Come on.
Come on, Kevin, you got them.
Okay. Brent, this is a shout out. Brent Hackett said I could tell this story.
Okay.
Okay.
Fair
I
enough.
already talked to him. About it.
okay.
Sorry, Leslie, you got to live with him. Now, okay, so everybody's been talking about the Buccaneer parade or whatever. It's that was one of the many parades that we did. Well, our senior year, it was we were both 18 by the time we went on the band trip. And oh, one other thing, in several of your podcasts, talking to the band people and everything, you were talking about the tape on the doors, right? Yes. Yes.
Is it because of you guys?
No, no.
Because
No,
of
but my mom and dad, for some reason figured they had to probably keep an eye on me, so they were always chaperones. And yes, in fact, now I don't know that they put tape on everybody's door, but there was definitely select few. Now here, when it comes to my parents, anybody's parents, right? When you think of your parents, it's like they're not cool. They're my parents. They're not, after that band trip, after that senior trip, I had people coming up to me, and this is the first I'd heard about the tape. People were coming up to me and say, "Man, your parents are so cool." Like, do you know my parents? They're not cool. Who are you talking about? And they was like, yeah, because apparently they got caught out of the room.
Ooh.
And apparently I can't say their name. There's a couple of guys that when they came out, they saw the tape and they didn't go wherever it was they were going. They just stood there in front of their door because they knew that they'd been busted. And my parents, my mom and dad, I don't know who was on shift that time, but, went to them and, they didn't turn there. There's about nearly a dozen people that came up to me talking about how cool my parents were. Basically, they just didn't turn them in. They just like, all right, go to your room. I got my eye on you. Don't do it again. But on this one trip, Brent and I are both 18 years old. And the bands, how we'd pull up, and a lot of times you'd have a bus peel off to one restaurant, another peel off to another restaurant. Sometimes you have multiple buses if there's a lot of restaurants, and they would just say, okay, be back on the bus by such and so time. Well, on the way to dinner, Brent and I were looking out the windows and we saw a Shakey's Pizza. Shakey's sold beer. And so we pulled in about 2 blocks away, unloaded, and Brent and me and a couple other guys and some girls, I mean, we hightailed it down the street 2 blocks. And I can't tell you how many pitchers of beer that we bought, but I asked Brent, is there any statute of limitations that we need to be concerned about? But he says, because we were the only 2 that were 18. And yeah, we bought a bunch but we eat our pizza, drink the beer. Somebody looks down and says, oh shit, we got 5 minutes to get back. And so there was about a half a pitcher of beer, and between me and Brent, and we finished that pitcher and took off running back towards the buses. We got about a block away from the buses, and Brent's like, where's Brent? He's falling behind. Now you remember Brent always had the cowboy hat, always had the cowboy boots. Can't run in cowboy boots, but he was running and he was just falling further and further back. And I turned around just in time to see him go, blah.
Oh Lord.
And then he just turned and trotted along. We got back to the buses, and we were on the bus with Mr. Burks. And the whole time we were going up the steps, Mr. Burks is just looking at us, shaking his head. Didn't say a word. He was just shaking his head.
Oh,
So
he knew. He knew.
Oh yeah. Love that man. He was awesome.
Gosh.
Murray, do you have any stories about Buccaneer days, Corpus Christi?
The only story I have is back in my sophomore year. We went to the ocean. We were staying at the Executive Keys there in Port Aransas, and I went out to the ocean. I don't think I'd ever been to the ocean, and got out there and a wave hit me and I lost my glasses in the ocean.
Oof.
So I had to spend the rest of the trip with no glasses, so that was kind of a bummer. So that's kind of one thing I always remember.
Yeah. Oh man.
And the stops off at HEB before you got there to go do your grocery shopping. That was kind of fun, running around with baskets and your roommates and shopping and what all you're going to buy for the room. And so, yeah, good times.
Yeah.
How long did we stay? I mean, I was only able to go my freshman year. How many days? I don't recall. Was it like 4 days? I mean, if we had to buy groceries, that had to have been several days.
I thought it was like 3 nights. We had the night before we got there, and the night we marched in the band in the parade, and then the next night, and then we left. I was thinking it was 3,
Mhm.
but I might be
Yeah.
wrong.
Right.
Okay.
3 days. Yeah.
I think a Thursday, Friday, Saturday night, came home Sunday.
Yeah. Okay, guys, I don't know if y'all remember this story or what, but whenever it was time for the trip, the day before, Mr. Burks and OT would put the sign up sheet for what bus you were going to ride. And so you made sure that somebody either signed your name on the right bus or that you got out of class accidentally or whatever to go get signed up on the bus. And for some reason, it seems like Kent or somebody was supposed to sign up Jerry Stair's name on, we'll say, bus 2. And for some reason, he didn't get his name signed up on there. And one of the things that we noticed is that there was a freshman, I guess maybe it was a sophomore. His name was on the senior bus. And I can't even remember who it was at the time. But anyway, Jerry gets out of class and the is full. And the sophomore's name is on the list. And he's like, who in the whatever is this kid? And so he starts calling this kid out. And this kid, it's like afternoon, like, everybody's leaving school. And this kid's like, well, my mom dropped me off after my doctor's appointment, and I was like the first one to sign up on bus 2. And Jerry just like hovered over this kid, and he's like, this is the senior bus, and I will kick your ass if you don't get your name off that list. And that kid is like marking his name off the Jerry writes his name in there. And then, of course, Mr. Burke is like, Stair, how come your name is marked somebody's name off to get your name on that list? And Jerry's like, I don't know what you're talking about. My name's on that. It's like, okay, just check. So anyway, that kid's probably still scared.
Oh man.
Anyway,
Absolutely.
that was funny. I really, Jerry Stair has passed away, but I think he was one really cool dude. I really enjoyed time. I spent a lot of my senior year hanging out with him. He was a cool guy.
He's a big boy. I remember him. He was a big boy. I think even
Yeah.
Gwyneth had little words with him, and Gwyneth Dunlap wasn't gonna back down. He didn't. So,
Yeah.
but hey, earlier you guys mentioned teachers, or actually Susanne. Was there any teachers that you really enjoyed? I mean,
Yeah, I really liked Deborah Canterbury. I was in a couple of the plays, or I was in the drama class, and she was very caring. I really, thought she did a good job of supporting the kids and whatever they were doing. I certainly wasn't in drama, as much as some of the others, but she was very supportive. But I remember Michael Williams' mom, Sandra Williams. She was a great mentor to me my senior year, because I don't know if you guys remember the candy store that was open during lunch. Well, I was on the executive student council, and I was the treasurer. And so my job was to make sure that there were people to be in the candy store. And Kevin can probably attest to this, that it was hard to get Brent to sign up for a time slot. But anyway, he did. So anyway, I kind of had to be there to supervise him. But anyway, but Miss Williams was just very supportive and kind of showed me, the ropes on how to do that. And I just really thought she was a really neat lady and a great history teacher as well. So, yeah.
cool. Murray, how about you, man?
Really, the only one in high school that I have a lot of memories about is Mr. Burks and band. I have some that were before high school. Mrs. Terrell, which was my first grade teacher, was always my best. She followed me always all the way through high school and surprised me at my home with a graduation gift, out of the blue one
Wow.
day, which really touched me. And then the other one that I loved is Georgia Hodges' grandmother, Mrs. Hodges. I just thought she was so funny, and everybody just loved her. So those are kind of the 3 that come to mind from 1 through 12.
That's cool. Kevon.
Suzanne, Brent, when you having a hard time getting him to work the candy store is because he and I were out in his truck four-wheeling up the running water draw.
I know. Trust me, I know.
Okay. Actually, I'm like Murray. Mr. Burks. Love that man. He in 8th grade, he came to me and several other people and asked if we'd be interested in doing a stage band. There was no classes for it, but it was like taking, I think it was our lunch period, and going and meeting and playing, doing stage band. We actually did play for a few places, but it was I don't know if y'all remember Greg Cozell.
Yep.
Remember him? Um, him and me, we were the drummers, and then I don't remember who all was in the stage band, but that was actually I didn't have him in 7th grade. I had Mr. Edwards. Remember him?
Yes.
Okay, I had him. He was hard. And then but Burks, and then when I got into high school, it was it well through it'd be a whole different show, but uh I got into the varsity band, and it definitely wasn't because of ability, because there was a lot of people that were a lot better than me. It was just being at the right place at the right time. But OT wanted me in stage. I was going to play football, but he wanted me in band. And uh, because of that, I went and changed my schedule, had to change my schedule around, and uh, took the stage band. Well, it was Mr. Burks that was kind of prodding me, even though it was still OTs. It wasn't even stage band; it was jazz band. It was Mr. Burks that was talking to me, telling me I needed to get in there. So I did. Marlon Curry, drummer. It was me and him. We were in the drum. We were doing the drums for the stage band. And then the next year was when Larry Burks took over the stage band, and it was a stage band. I mean, he made it so fun. And, I don't know, Murray, how many practices did we have at, was it Baskin Robbins? What was it? Where was the, I mean,
Carl is saying Baskin Robbins and Village Pizza.
yeah. Okay, so here, yeah. So we spent a lot of time. So Larry, to answer your question, it's Larry Burks. He's my favorite all time. Do y'all recall? I'm going to bring this up. Angry Red, Nuff Said. Y'all remember that?
Oh, yes.
Okay, at that time in 78, the spring of 78, they had a school, it was a contest. And, we decided in stage band, it was one of those days that we really weren't doing a whole lot. I mean, I think the directors may have been watching the Drum and Bugle Corps films, and they were working on other stuff. So, they had the contest was about coming up with some kind of a logo, something, not just Angry Red. And we all sat in there just tossing out ideas. And I remember Mr. Burks sitting in his chair, just listening. And he looked over and very kind of almost under his breath said, "What about Angry Red? Nuff Said." I mean, the room went quiet. That's it. That's it. And then it was I think it was like Daryl Garms and some other people started doing all these banners. Well, we won the contest. You know what the contest was? An ice cream social at Baskin Robbins, which we win anyway.
Yeah.
It wasn't special.
So that,
Carl, Danny Smith painted the sign. You know what you said, Carl? Danny Smith. Danny Smith painted the sign because he was in old English writing. Danny Smith painted the sign.
Yeah. That was so awesome.
so that was the origin of Angry Red Nuff Said.
Enough said.
Wow.
Larry Burks, our director.
Wow.
I
He
did not
he
know that.
coined it, huh? He coined it. That's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, guys, what was your best memory from high school? Not necessarily your senior year, just from high school. Susanne?
I would just say that it's those relationships that we made, those friendships that we had, and our class of '81, we've had a 5-year class reunion every year. We might have gone from 1 to 10, but after that we've done 5-year every year, and it's like some of those friendships, even though you don't see those people very often, they're still just. I mean, it's like you just go back straight into a great relationship with those people when you get them. And, I think Murry can testify. He's kind of been a helper to me to get those all going and have those reunions. But I think it's the relationships that you built.
What about you, Murry?
Yeah, I would agree with Suzanne. I mean, we had a great class. We had people that, whether, regardless of your ethnicity, whether you were poor or you had money, whether you're an athlete or you had no talent at all, everybody treated everybody well. I mean, I'm sure there was exceptions, but everybody felt loved by one another, and we still do today when we have reunions. Another highlight for me, other than all the band trips that we took, which was always wonderful, is I was chose my senior year to go to Bowie State to represent Plainview with about a dozen other guys. Vondo Burnett, Britt Mayberry were a couple of those that went. So that was a wonderful trip representing Plainview at the state capitol for, nearly a week, and just had good memories, good friends, good teachers, graduated and went out into college, and it's just a wonderful time. I wish I could go back and live high school again.
That's wonderful. Kevin?
How about living high school again? I had a hard enough time getting through it the first time. Really, I don't know. It's more for me. I mean, it definitely is a camaraderie, that we had. It definitely, I mean, those definitely stand out. There's so many things that I remember, just the funny stories, I mean, I don't know. It's hard to kind of pinpoint one, but because there are, so many good and bad. I mean, there was some really bad times too, but I think you told me y'all were looking to get Ray Hughes on the show sometime. Is that right?
Yeah. If we can, yeah. I mean,
If we can, okay. Ray, get on here. I gotta tell you, one of the coolest things is having been in varsity band 4 years and going from, I mean, we were number one ranked. I mean, the sweepstakes band, all that. But that senior year when we went to state, oh my gosh, even if we didn't win, being out of all the schools that were there, ranked 5th, that was pretty impressive. But I gotta tell you, Ray has anybody y'all know where I'm going with this. Has anybody told you about his salute
At state.
at state?
I don't recall.
Okay,
Tell us now.
I'm gonna tell you. Sorry, I didn't clear this with Ray, but I'm telling it anyway.
Okay. With that.
We were at state, and it's everywhere, every other place that we play, contests, games, whatever. It was basically, drum majors, you may begin, or whatever, whatever they'd say. And he'd tweet the whistle and bring everybody to attention, and we'd start. Well, he had gone up the ramp and was watching the other bands when they would start their routines. And all of a sudden, he disappears from the rest of the band. He kind of disappears. Nobody knew this was going to happen, but our time comes up. We line the field we're all ready to go, waiting for the judges to call him. And they finally say, drum major, you may start your band. He does this with his baton and comes down in this salute. Brent and I you could hear this over the whole band. Whoa. But actually though, it worked for us because it was like, yeah, we're ready. Let's do this.
Wasn't Jesse Barrera the other drum major?
Yeah.
What did he do? Did he do something
he just
with Ray?
stood there.
Oh,
No,
was
he
he
just
in
stood at
shock?
attention. I don't know. I don't know if Jesse knew it or not, but he
Yeah.
just Ray. I mean, I think Jesse just stood at attention, but Ray being the head, the lead drum major. But I want to see him do that again.
Yeah. It was impressive. We were all like, wait, what? We've never.
You, there's a YouTube of our that year marching, and I guess I have to look closer now to
Well,
see.
is that one in
Yeah,
Austin?
yes.
It is in Austin because there's
Yes,
one
it is.
that Brent sent me that it's our at Tech. It's the
Well,
same show, but it was at Tech.
I don't know. Oh,
Yeah, because we went to Tech. We played in Tech first, and then we went to State, and it was in Austin. And that's when he just was very observant to realize that everybody else was doing something, and we needed to also. So yeah, kudos to Ray for that. Yeah.
I'm not watching that video now.
yeah. So, there's a show that I watch sometimes. It's one of those flipping shows, Homes, and this guy drove an antique truck. And I think it was 81. It was a red truck, short bed, the big mufflers on the side. It was a name. It had the name on the truck. And I think it had a wood tailgate, or maybe it's some wood. And I could have, huh?
Charlie Smith.
That little red express.
That little
truck.
red truck.
That's it. That little red something. That's it.
Red express. Truck.
Little red express truck.
Dodge.
Who?
Dodge. It was a Dodge. Carl said, "Carl, come over. Come in. Come on.
So,
Hey, Carl.
I'm bringing him in the view."
So was he a class of 80?
He was.
Yeah.
Yes, he was class of 80.
Hey.
How you doing, buddy?
Much more hair in 1980. Could have worn a cap. Anyway, no, Charlie Smith had that Dodge Little Red Express truck with the stand-up pipes and the wood.
Yeah,
grain.
yeah.
Yeah, it was a factory Dodge deal. I've seen one of those shows on TV, just like you're talking about, where they featured a restoration of one of those. So yeah, Charlie had a whole lot of cars, but he did have that for a period of time.
That's cool. So Carl, what did you play back in your senior year? I mean, what
Trombone.
trombone? No, that's right. I'm sorry. You mentioned that, Suzanne. So how did you two meet? How did you guys hook up?
High school sweethearts.
High school band, we didn't start dating until my senior year.
Mhm.
Right, I think right around summer band.
Yeah.
I think I called her one night after summer band.
Band carnival time.
Okay, I'm sorry, I'm not class 81, but I got to tell you, when I called her, I didn't know her very well. She had broken
Here we
up
go.
with a previous boyfriend, and Wes and Aaron encouraged me to call her, so I did. Told her, "This is Carl." We talked. I asked her out for a date. She says, "Sure." We talked for a little while longer, and then I find out later, for the majority of that phone call, she thought I was Carl Matzler.
Oh man.
Said yes,
Obviously, we went on the date.
but
I figured it out before he showed up. So
yeah, she says she figured it out before the call was over. But
I should have never told him. See, 40 years of marriage, and this is still coming back to bite me. I should have just kept my mouth shut and never said anything.
so
That's cool.
Put it down.
That's cool.
I was thinking a while ago, just quick, and I'll shut up. But Kevin,
No, go ahead.
you're talking about stage band and going to Baskin Robbins and Mr. Burke's. Y'all remember Leslie Limbacher?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Remember that white Cuda he drove?
Yep.
And the deal was, if Mr. Burke's let us go to Village Pizza or Baskin Robbins, we had to keep it low key because he didn't want attention drawn. Well, what did Leslie do? He got a speeding ticket for excessive acceleration on the way back to school. And when he came in the band hall door, that outside door, we were all in a line, and Mr. Burks was there with the paddle, and he lit him up.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Paddle.
Do
Suzanne,
what?
Suzanne, did you ever get the paddle?
No, I obviously was just smarter than these guys. I don't know. Or I just, I was scared of Mr. Burke because I watched him lift people off the ground with that pad on. So I was too scared. So no, I was a good girl.
Same here. I never got a lick, not one time.
Yeah.
Two
I,
chickens.
I got five in all in seventh grade. And one of the coaches we interviewed, he gave me two of them. I'm not going to mention his name, but he, I'll tell one reason where I was sitting there in the classroom, and Gwyneth Dunlap flipped me off. So I'm like, "Fuck you!" And the coach walked right by the door, and he saw my big finger doing this. He goes, "Flores, come here." I'm like, "Ah, shit." Woo. He gave me two, not one. I'm saying I gave me two. That hurt. That hurt. But hey, did you guys host dances,
Mhm.
opposing teams?
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was telling Kevin the story that, and you guys might have heard on the Twirlers that I don't know how I ended up DJing. Well, the music back then was mostly hair bands, AC/DC, Poison. I mean, everybody was into Quiet Riot, and we hosted Coronado. And these guys bring me an album. I'm like, yeah, play this, play number. I'm like, okay, I played it. I put it on, and it was Rock Lobster by the B-52s. And I was like, what the hell? I mean, I'm sorry, Anglo people, white people doing their thing. I'm like, okay. And then they get on the ground with their backs and kicking their legs. I'm like, oh hell no, this song gotta be over with. I gotta cleanse myself and play some rock music. But that was my first taste of new wave back then. But um, would you guys recall any stories from the band dance parties?
Mm-mm.
None,
I don't recall any.
guys.
I remember that it seemed so random that we would do that because, the opposing band was on one side of the room and we were on the other side of the room. We didn't know anybody. And, we had basically been rivals with them, cheering against them the whole football game. And now all of a sudden we're in the same room expected to do this dance with people we didn't know. It was just kind of random that how it all went down. But it all
Sometimes
seemed to
other
be,
schools would do it too. I remember going to one at Lubbock High,
yeah.
maybe one at like Hereford or Pampa
Yeah.
or somewhere like that.
I think it was just a courtesy thing to do, but I can't say that I remember interacting with the other band ever, but I think that we had fun with just our own people. So yeah, it was kind of random.
So I know Kevin, you were there 4 years, and I assume Murray and Suzanne, you're in
Mhm.
band three years on marching, or did you all do all 4 years?
I did all
Uh,
four.
so was there a stadium or a crowd of people that you hated to go and march? Suzanne.
Right, Monterey threw dirty socks that were on the sidelines. They threw dirty socks at the twirlers when we were twirling, and there was one game we were there, and they turned a bucket of their Gatorade or whatever it was. They turned a bucket of that over right on the sidelines where we were twirling, and so we were like just marching through ice. It
Oh
was,
wow.
yeah, it was pretty rude.
Kevin?
Either Monterey or Hereford. I mean, those are, our two biggest rivals. And it seemed like, well, especially in 78, again, going back to that team, when they used to sabotage, try to sabotage us or do something for fire for us. I mean, we just waxed them, on the field. But I remember, I want to say it was the Monterey game, which unfortunately we kind of returned the favor. I think maybe the next year that we painted their field house and shouldn't have done that because they beat us pretty bad. But the year before, they had broken into or somebody had broken into the stadium, and we had the big dot #1 Angry Red Nuff Said painted in the middle of the field, and somebody got in there and spray painted it all up. Well, I don't know who called my dad, but he had a spray rig, and on Thursday night at about 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, they were still out repainting that center on the 50-yard line, that emblem. And, but word had already gotten out and everybody knew what they had done. And, we assumed they did it. I don't know if anybody ever called, said took credit for it, but, there was anytime you were playing Monterey or Hereford, it was going to be rough. It was, I mean, even in the band, it was still, and I remember like you talk about those band dances. We were, looking back, I was a badass. The older I get, the more badass I was. We're laughing. But it's like, I remember, Brent and me, we would go into those dances. We'd have our cowboy hat and our dip in our mouth, and we were all bowed up, just waiting for one of those guys to say something or look at us wrong. And then the next thing we know, it's 30 minutes, an hour later, and we're getting on the bus. So we stood there for, an hour just doing this, just, come on. But, it's basically just those. I don't remember anything really except for I think it was Emerald Sandy's that flooded the field. But other than that, I don't think we had really any big issues with Amarillo schools or any other Lubbock school for that matter.
Murray?
I guess just Hereford, just because of the smell of the beef up there.
Oh,
It
yeah.
always stunk on the way to, you always had that smell in the air when you were playing in Hereford. So
And they
that's
had
probably
You
the
still
one I didn't like going to.
and they had that big old heifer, didn't they, at that steakhouse, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I remember that. Man. Yeah. Lisa?
Still a student place. So, hey, did you guys all hang out at the Gibson's parking lot?
Oh, yeah.
We didn't.
Who did?
Is that before you returned from Nazareth?
After.
And yes.
After they returned from Nazareth.
My bad. After. Uh-huh.
remember
Carl's
a lot-
he's laughing.
I remember a lot of bottle rocket fights at Gibson's parking lot.
Reach Sonic with those bottle rockets.
Yeah.
So would the cops just kind of drive by just to let you know there's a presence there, but not really do anything to anybody?
Pretty much.
you
Yeah.
drive
Mrs. DeBerry.
Yeah.
you drive through the Mr. Burger, get a drink at Mr. Burger, and then drive down 5th Street till you get to Gibson's parking lot. Funny story, on our first day to Carl's friends, I'll put that term loosely, we were in a movie theater, one movie theater in Plainview, and we came out and didn't even realize that Drew Cartwright had written "Just Married" on the back of his Mustang. And we're sitting in the Mr. Burger parking lot or drive-through. People are honking at us, and we're like, "Hey, whatever." And then he looks in the rearview mirror and he goes, "Oh my gosh." Turn around and look at the window, and it says "Just Married" on it. And he was like mortified. Looking back on it now, it's pretty funny. How did Drew know?
Oh man, that's cool. Yeah, I vaguely remember Gibson's, but I was there one time with a couple, and Andrew Dunlap was with us, and we did something that you shouldn't be doing, but that's my recollection of Gibson's. But Lisa and I, we was
Saw
mostly
that episode.
bus station. You
I
did?
saw that episode.
No one fessed up. So all right, Kevin. What about Rampage, brother? Rampage. You, Luthez, Thompson, Scott James, and I know the second half was John Wright. Uh-oh.
You mean
His Rampage shirt.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, dude.
That is awesome. You still have that.
pack rat? I'm a pack rat. Okay.
Oh, someone Luthez wanted me to say Captain Box.
It was Captain Kevin or Captain Kevin.
Kevin, okay, go ahead.
Because I had this sailor hat.
Yeah.
I don't know. But yeah, and oh gosh, what was his name? Charlie Smith. Charlie Smith was actually the one that came late. And then,
Okay.
but John was with us. It was at first, it was Luthez and Scott and me. And, we just, it was more of just jam sessions in my living room at my house. We had, I guess looking back at it, we must have had the best, most patient neighbors next to us. Oh, actually the Berries, Margaret Berry and what was his name? They were teachers.
Joe.
Oh,
No, but yeah, they were my
Oh, but-
neighbors. But they were, everybody had to be so patient because one, had these guys trying to play rock music, and then one guy that played drums that never would leave. But it was and then we got we needed a bass player, so we got John, and had us a really good little band. And then when Charlie moved or came to Plainview, he and John seemed like they became really close friends, and he brought Charlie in one time, playing lead. And yeah, it was a lot of fun. I don't think any gig that we ever played, we ever finished it because we'd always get shut down.
Why?
we drove
I'll-
to Chris High School to watch you guys one night. You
Oh yeah,
remember
we won the Battle of the Bands of Crest, Texas.
that?
Was it two bands? No, I'm kidding.
It may have been. It was the clog steppers. I don't know. It was fun. It was a good time.
Well, I'll tell you the story. And I was there. It was the 8th grade banquet, I guess. It was their formal dinner, and then you guys were playing there, and I helped you guys set up. Well, Luthez was at a track meet, and
Yeah.
he was late and late and late, and he got there in his track uniform.
Yeah, I remember
and
that.
you guys rocked the house down. Yeah, you guys rocked the house down up. So, but no, he wanted me to call you Captain Box, but I guess it's Captain Kevin.
Yeah,
Kevin.
Kevin.
So, well, Lisa, anything else?
Yes.
I have, oh, sorry. Lisa, I have something before you finish off. I want to know if anybody knows, every year at homecoming, all of the halls would have decorating contests for homecoming, who could decorate their hall the best. And our senior year, a real goat showed up in the atrium, out there where that bell was. Showed up in the atrium, and it had a big 81 painted on its side. And so, the class of 81, of course, won that year because we had an actual goat. But I thought we can't pass the whole goat knuckle program without addressing the real goat that came. Does anybody know where that goat came from, or who did that goat? Kevin?
The only person, and I'm gonna say, I asked Brent this. It's funny, this has all kind of come around because about a month or so, all this goat knuckle stuff. Well, okay, I don't know if she can hear me or not, but there was baseball or basketball games on TV, and it was TCU, and they showed the stands, and everybody's in stands doing that, and I just uttered goat knuckle, and my wife looked at me like, what? And it's like, goat knuckle. And she's like, what are you saying? What does that mean? So I explained what goat knuckles was. But then it kind of got me to wondering. So I called Brent and thought about it and asked him, do you know where it started? And as far as I can recall, the first person, and this may be kind of some correlation here, the first person that I remember saying or hearing it from was Vondel Burnett. Yes. And they had goats.
Could be. Could be.
Oh,
Ah.
Mystery solved.
it all comes back around. Oh boy. Okay.
That's funny. Hey, was it an incident in 80 or 81 or maybe late 70s? Someone climbed the tower and painted it?
Yes.
Yeah, I remember that.
Chris.
Murray, what class was you? What year do you remember, Murray?
I want to say probably 80 or 81.
I was thinking we were juniors that year.
Yeah, maybe 80.
Because
Wasn't that Chris Avent? Is it Avent?
Albus. Chris Albus.
Chris Albus. Yes. Wasn't it him?
I heard that. Yeah,
I
he's no
guess
longer with us.
Yeah.
My
Yeah.
guess. Yeah.
Oh yeah, that I forget what he painted. Did he paint the class or he did something? He painted. Well, anyway, but
Well, we were
that-
proud of it.
Well,
Of course.
somebody painted a huge red dot there by the cafeteria our senior year. It was, we all got in big trouble because, they just knew it was the senior class, and it probably was, but it was a huge red dot there on the brick they had painted. Y'all remember that?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm pretty sure it was class of 80 member.
Hey.
No.
Hey,
There's something going
I'm
on.
pretty sure.
uh-huh.
I was like, you
Uh-huh.
know something about that, Carl.
Yeah, I can tell you one thing about the class of 81, and I don't know if it was band people, but every time we have a reunion, we usually have it at the country club. They always tell us that the class of 81 can outdrink any class that's ever been at the country club. So I don't know if that's true or not, but we got some beer drinking guys in the class of 81.
Well,
And
hell,
Carl,
he started at 18. You guys, because I think back then 18 was legal back then.
that's right.
So when it went to 19, it didn't affect you guys at all. So
Well, I'll tell you from the person that always helps plan the class reunions that the Plainview Country Club closes the pool to us. We cannot use that pool area because some of our members ended up in the pool one night at our reunion. So, yeah.
Murray,
Oh,
that
I
you?
know, I know who those ladies were, but I won't reveal names.
Hey, it wasn't me, but there was a bunch of ladies
Oh, I think I saw a picture. Someone posted
somewhere.
that. I think so. There was a lot of women in their nice dresses in the
Yeah.
pool.
Yeah.
hey,
Okay.
that's another podcast. Let's have them all come on. and
Yes.
talk about their experience.
Hey, Flo, before you
Yes.
guys close it out, since we're talking about 81 band perspective, right?
Right, sir. Yes, sir.
We've lost some classmates in the class of 81 that I'd like to just call out.
Absolutely,
Suzanne,
Murray.
Look, Suzanne, if I miss a couple, you
Okay,
add to them. But
Let's
we
see.
lost Kelly. We lost Kelly Parrish here. I think in 23, she played saxophone.
I remember her.
Gary Stair. We talked about, Suzanne mentioned earlier, we lost Mac Yates here not too long ago, who played trumpet. I believe Aldria Henderson. I think she was clarinet, if I'm not mistaken. And Suzanne, those are the ones I got on the list. There may be a few more.
Charlie Smith.
Yeah.
Charlie Smith in our class. And I'm trying to I kind of think Wanda Mel was in band at some point, but I don't think she stayed in band the whole 4 years. But I think those are the ones that I have. I've unfortunately got a whole long list here of people in our class
Right.
passed away. So yeah. And Toya Kirk, Toya played the flute. I don't think she
Yeah.
stayed 4 years
That's
either, but
true.
she played.
Oh, she passed away?
And Denise Mills played the clarinet. We've had quite a few now that we look at that list. So, yeah.
So that's cool. Yeah, I remember majority of those people. A couple I don't, but yeah, Toya. I remember those NRRs, Murray, and I think Toya came to one of those.
Yeah, I think she did come to one.
Yeah. So those were fun little reunions. Lisa went to a couple of them, and I think Mary, you went to a few. I don't
Yeah.
think you guys never came, but it was fun. We enjoyed them. So,
Hey.
but anyway,
We have to remember Kenneth Salee too. He was a member of the band.
That's true, Kenneth. Yeah.
Kenneth Salee, yeah. He loved band. So
you have any more outfits there, Kevin? Did you want to put on before we leave?
Let's see. We've got.
he's got some more.
You asked. We've got just the class of 81.
Nice.
Okay. We've got, this was our Friday game day. Brent and I and the rest of the drummers. This was our uniform for game day. You know how the football players wore suits and ties and always looked really nice? This was us. And then let's see. This one I was gonna wear, but it didn't happen.
Hold it up a little
Bust
bit.
it out.
Wow. I'm so impressed you have all of these.
You know,
Yeah.
I kept them for 40 years for this moment.
That's so cool.
Hey, you need to bring those to the next reunion.
Absolutely.
Yeah, maybe I'll lose some weight to where I can actually wear them.
We won't make
I know. There's some things just can't be unseen. I'm sorry.
We won't
I
make
mean,
it, we can display them for you.
Well,
it's
I
funny that crop top. I mean, that's what us guys
Yeah.
wore back then.
That's
Yeah.
exactly right. That's exactly right. Even the girls wore them.
You know, it's funny because back then it was a lot longer. You know, it's the washers and dryers just aren't what they are today. You know, they just
I agree.
Well, guys,
I have
do
a
you guys?
follow-up question, before we leave, and this is going to go to all three of you. So I'll just start. Before we end tonight, how do you think your classmates remember you, Susanne?
Oh gosh, I don't know. They probably just remember me as a twirler because that was my first love, and I don't know. I was pretty quiet in high school. I really wasn't anything like I am now, but you know, they probably just most of them probably don't even remember me. So, but that's okay too. I have great memories. So yeah.
Murry?
I'd just say as a fun, honest, caring friend. I think that's what that
Absolutely, I agree to that, Murray. Yeah, you are. You really are.
Mhm.
Well said.
Kevin?
Enough said, Kevin.
trouble, jokester, pain in the ass. Boy, you'd have to ask them. I don't know. It's you know, it. Well, I hung out with guys like Brent and John Wright and people that, you know, we were just out to have a good time. You know, get away with to see how much we could get away with. You know, I mean, okay, real quick, here's another one. Murray, you sat up far enough across the band. You remember how sometimes in the band hall that the band would start looking around? Well, that was Brent and me. I'm going to blame Brent. I'm just going to say it's Brent. It was Brent's fault, but we'd start pointing and looking at the wall. And before long, the whole band is looking up. And again, OT getting mad, turning red, veins popping. He's yelling at the band. And, you know, we're troublemakers. I guess that's what everybody's going to remember me as a troublemaker.
I'll tell you an OT story. My freshman year, y'all saw junior. It was I think the first time we first for rehearsal, and it was sunglass day. And someone handed me these huge glasses. And I'm talking about not Elton John sunglasses. These things were huge. I had them on, and he saw me and he just called me out. And I was like, "Oh shit, am I gonna quit band now?" Yeah, he was not happy. He was mad that I had him on, even though everyone else had sunglasses on. But what are you gonna do? I liked him, man. Man, OT was a good man, absolutely. But all right, guys. Well, thank y'all. We
Thank you
enjoyed
for
it.
having us.
Thank you. And then
Thank you so much.
we'd love to have you guys on again. Bring some other classmates on, percussion, Murray. I mean, if you want to bring on the 81ers, and then Susanne, of course, we're working on the twirlers too, with you and Dina and Rochelle. So hopefully we can get that going. So
Well, thanks for having. This has been a great reminiscing time.
absolutely.
Thank
Okay.
y'all so much. Thank you so much.
Have a good rest of the week.
Lisa, our condolences to you. So
Thank you.
Yeah.
I appreciate that. It's been a rough few
Yes.
days, but
yes. Well,
Yeah.
hang in
moving on.
there. Yep.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
All right,
Thanks, guys.
catch Kevin. Peace out. Peace and love, man.
you,
Peace and
guys.
love.
Go Knuckle.
So Kevin, you hit its end.
All right.
Get it out. Woo. Bye, Suzanne.
Okay, bye. Get
That was a lot of interesting stories. Enjoyed them. I really enjoyed them.
I know, absolutely.
Definitely kept. Go ahead.
No, it was fun listening to them reminisce, and it seems like they remember one thing and then would spark, another memory. And I love that. I think this is a good going back in time for everybody.
Absolutely. And I'm enjoying this, Lisa. I'm enjoying this a lot.
Me
So
too.
yeah, it's great. So next week, next Tuesday, we're gonna have more band people. This will have Coach, we called him Coach Jerry Killian, Carol Horn, Michelle and Sharon Dawas, Cindy Resendez. I believe that's it. So stay tuned.
Stay tuned. And so I want to just do a little quick announcement to everyone. I want to share my perspective about doing this with Michael. I had a lot of repressed memories about my classmates, experiences, and everything. And so it's been a gift to me to participate with Michael in this project. And it has been very healing for me. Even though on all these programs we're sharing these really remarkable and fun and magical experiences, we can't deny that everyone at some point in time had a negative experience in school or in Plainview or whatever. That's just life. We go through some hard times or even traumatic times. I'm just sharing that from my perspective, having gone through some of those things and wanting to forget about it and not stay in touch. This has been a very healing thing for me. And so if you have any trepidations about coming onto the show, I think you might be really pleasantly surprised at how it opens your heart to healing, how it opens your heart to forgiveness, and that it ends up being really fun, and that all of a sudden, a lot of really good memories begin to overshadow the negative memories. And I just want to put that out there for those of you that are on the fence about joining Michael and I think you'd be really, really pleasantly surprised.
Yes, absolutely.
What a,
That's well
what a
said, Lisa.
sweet experience this ends up being. So please join us.
Yes. And don't wait on us to contact you guys. Reach out to some of your friends. It doesn't have to be from the same class. It could be people above you or below you. Just come and share your stories and have some fun with us. So, well said, Lisa. Well said.
Thank you.
All right. Well, another great show. Now to the next one.
Absolutely. Good night, everyone.
Thank you. Good night. Peace and love. Peace and love.